Hi there. So I thought I would do some analysis of the most recent channeled video that was uploaded, um, which is entitled Reclaiming the Ark Through Extraterrestrial Dreamtime in 2019, the Year of Sovereignty. So the very first part of this, as you leave the time period you call your year 2018 and move into a new section of time that you call 2019, the collective consciousness that is you, humanity, creates itself a birth moment, a new beginning, a fresh start. So what that means is self-explanatory, really. As there are so many individuals focused on the end of one year and the beginning of another, so in their consciousness they will be focused on the ending of one section of time and the beginning of another, that mass consciousness creates that moment because so many people are focused on it, and it isn't a wishy-washy, non-focused thought process. Even if an individual person doesn't necessarily have cohesive thought, that thought itself is cohesive because it occurs every year on the 31st of December as we go into the 1st of January. So it is it's a collective consciousness focus through a belief system of time. It's nothing to do with the calendar itself. It's to do with the way the individuals feel emotionally and their actions that follow from those emotions regarding the ending of one section of time and the beginning of another. So it creates a birth moment. So it isn't necessarily a cosmic birth moment created by cosmic alignments. It's a birth moment created by the consciousness of humanity, which shows just how powerful the consciousness of humanity is, because if we were all to focus on the same thing at the same time on the same day, there would be a reaction to that focus. I know that we don't all enter the new year midnight at the same time, so there is a ripple as one country and then another and then another, and that 12 o'clock midnight goes round the world, so it's like a ripple of that birth moment. Due to the understanding and awareness of the awakened ones, the starseeds, the truthers, the ones who walk the path of the seeker, then this creates an upgrade with every birth moment, new beginning, fresh start. So because there are individuals that are consciously aware and awake and on an ascension journey and an enlightenment journey, and the DNA configuration is becoming crystalline within their bodies, and so the mind patternings within their brain is different and has different configurations, so that signal can reverberate faster and further. An upgrade is created. So now every new year, every mass focused consciousness of humanity on a point creates an upgrade. Not necessarily, that isn't something that would have happened in the past due to not enough individuals being in a sort of critical mass configuration to be able to influence the collective consciousness of humanity. So individuals would have created upgrades for themselves, but now, due to the awakened individuals and the amount of awakened individuals, upgrades. So we are creating for ourselves an upgrade. And then what does upgrade mean? Well, it goes on to say, your movement into 2019 is an upgrade collectively. So everyone catches that upgrade in energy. So what that will do is move us into points where we are able to catch those particles, those light particles that are coming in from the galactic core, if you will, or catch that configuration that is moving us from a double helix DNA construction into the triple helix, the infinite helix, the 12 strand, 144 configuration within the DNA. This moment is not perhaps the node point convergence of timelines as the solstices and the equinoxes. So that's, as I said, the solstices and the equinoxes are cosmic alignments. They are where all timelines converge. So it's not the same as that, but it is a moment created en masse as a ripple across your planet as you hold the rebirthing consciousness collectively. So it's kind of a similar thing, but not quite. If you were to look at, say, a graph, a straight line within a graph, the solstices and the equinoxes would be wedged within that graph. Say that graph's a piece of art, then the solstices and the equinoxes would be carved within the graph. And the New Year's Eve into New Year's Day would be as if the person has got a pen and marked that on the graph, if you know what I mean. So the solstices and the equinoxes are ready-made, and the New Year's Eve, we are creating it. We are making it ourselves. You thus create for yourselves the portal that marks the passage of time from one state to another. So we're creating that portal. A moment of collective alchemy, shall we say. Collective alchemy, as in we are moving from one time period to another, and within that move is an upgrade. So the alchemy is taking place within the time around our consciousness. That's where the moment is alchemized. It's within time. So we are turning lead into gold within an outside, externalized presentation of self, which is that of the passing of linear time, all affecting us, and ultimately from the higher dimensional point of view, all the same thing. This brings with it many new experiences, most especially for those who understand how to utilize these portals. So aware individuals who understand about these moments, these cosmic moments, these convergences, these consciousness of humanity created moments, they know how to utilize them, how to use them for their own and for the global manifestation, creation. They're able to go with the flow of these portals and these movements. They're able to work with magic within these portals. And so many new experiences are coming with this, especially for those who understand how to utilize this. Experiences individually and globally, too numerous to present to you in one transmission. So many experiences for individuals, many experiences on a global scale. So this is as we are moving from, and as we have moved from one section of time into another. So it's like a step up. There's 2018, and we've gone up to 2019, gone up a step, if you like, created by us. And so therefore there will be multiple experiences within this upgrade, too numerous to present in one transmission. What we can say to you is that this is a time of collective creation. And I explained that when I said about how individuals are able to utilize these moments. They understand that these moments are there for manifestation and creation. Collective creation, so more people are able to do this. More people are understanding about the significance that they have within reality and how they can influence reality and mold reality and how they are the creators. More and more people are understanding this and putting it into practice. Many of you will be asking the question, what will happen in 2019? And that's correct. Many people will ask, well, what's happening this year? Yet we would say to you to change the question to a statement, and to that of, we can choose what we want to happen in 2019. So changing the question to a statement, or really what you're doing here is changing the energy of questioning, not knowing, but wanting to find out, the seeker, into the creator. We know what will happen because we will create it. So you move from seeker to creator, seeker to architect. These are archetypes that are part of our journey, and we don't really reject one and embrace a new one. We are all of them. So we are always a seeker, we are always an architect, but we can place our consciousness within a different archetype and express that archetype. And we can live as that archetype, be it for 1 hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, forever. It's our choice. This change of not knowing and wondering into the knowing of creativity is the collective energy of awakened humanity. So awakened humanity hold that collective energy within their entire energetic makeup, within their thoughts. That's the energy they hold. They shift and have shifted from not knowing to knowing. They're making known that which was unknown. The upgrade to this in 2019 is the awakening of yet more individuals. So because those individuals are already awakened and have this consciousness, this mindset of changing the not knowing into the knowing, changing the seeking into the architect or the creator, that energy opens up a new configuration energetically within reality, within the higher dimensional reality, within the fabric of the higher dimensional reality, and that filters down into the third dimension. So others can follow that already created pathway. And that's what's happening for 2019. Adding weight and mass to the collective consciousness of aware humanity. So aware humanity is growing. So if you look at aware humanity, ascending and ascended, enlightened, path of enlightenment, etc., humanity, if you put that collective consciousness together in a focused, cohesive way, and only in a focused, cohesive way, so if these awakened ones are focused within that awakening, it creates together a group soul. That group soul takes on a consciousness, and I've already spoken before about how the Nine have told me that this group consciousness is a divine feminine consciousness, and the Nine have given the name of the divine princess Aurora. So basically, Aurora is becoming stronger. She's getting her memories back. She's getting more powerful. She's becoming more aware. She's able to be more omnipresent. That's because aware humanity is holding more mass and more weight as more individuals become aware. So if you imagine that the divine princess Aurora is a being in a higher dimension, and what the divine princess Aurora is the same, not the same, but very, very similar to these group soul entities that you will have heard of. For example, certain archangels, ascended masters. You may have heard of beings that you would know as Enki and Enlil regarding the Sumerian tales, and there are many other of these higher dimensional extraterrestrial godlike entities, and we know about them and we hear stories about them, and whether they're metaphor or whether they're real, they are group soul entities. So that is divine princess Aurora. So she's growing. She has access to more dimensional space within the area of her creativity. One could call her a logos, if you like, Logos, a logos being. And we give her her memories. We give her her knowing, her intelligence, her awareness. We give her the ability to access more. Metaphorically, if you could imagine divine princess Aurora living in a house, and in that house are many, many rooms, but 3 rooms are closed and the doors are locked, and she's not allowed in there. If she goes in there, she will disintegrate. She can't function in those rooms. They don't exist for her. Then as aware humanity grows in weight and in mass, meaning more individuals are becoming aware, divine princess Aurora is given by her mother or her father a key, and that key is to one of those doors. She can then unlock that door and go inside. She eventually gets 3 keys and she can unlock all 3 doors. It's kind of like, you know, in a computer game where you've got sort of levels that are locked to you, or items that you can't get, or I don't really play computer games, but I've seen my son play them. So when you kind of get more points and you level up in that game, you can access that object or that experience or that level or that area of that game. You go up a level. That's what's happening to divine princess Aurora as the manifestation of the collective consciousness of humanity. She's growing. And And as we give her power, as we give her growth, so too does she give that to us. So it's a unified, it's just a metaphor really, although it's literal in the sense that Divine Princess Aurora is an individualized intelligence. So it's literal in that sense. And Divine Princess Aurora is known by many names. But it's metaphor for the interaction between us here in the third dimension and the intelligence and intelligent environment of the higher dimensions. It's also synonymous with our carbon DNA molecular structure and our crystalline DNA molecular structure working together. So it's all the same thing. Moving into just one section of this collective awakening, this upgrade, this rebirth, we would look at the Dreamtime experience, the landscape of the Dreamtime itself and its extraterrestrial influence, if you will. So what the Nine is saying here is, within this collective awakening, there are many, many things going on, and there are many, many upgrades and changes and experiences. But within that vastness of all these different experiences, you can look at just one section, just zoom in on one section, and that's the Dreamtime. Now, the Dreamtime itself is massive and huge and quantum and infinite. So we are going to move into just one section of the Dreamtime, which is the Dreamtime landscape and the extraterrestrial influence of that landscape. So that's the part of the collective upgrade with the moving into 2019 that the Nine are focusing on, or rather they are drawing my and our attention to. Dreamtime landscape, that is collective consciousness of aware humanity, is very Earth-like predominantly. So when you go into Dreamtime, the landscape you are working with predominantly is like an Earth terrain, an Earth landscape. As you work out the periphery of your reality and experiences, so what you're doing here when you're in Dreamtime is the subconscious mind that is constantly aware and ticking away in the background while you are utilizing your conscious mind as you go through your waking day. The subconscious mind is taking into account that you have not been conscious of. So it's the periphery of your awareness. And when you go into your dream time, that periphery starts to be analyzed while you are asleep, because the subconscious mind then comes to the fore as the conscious mind takes its rest, if you like. As you work out the periphery of your reality and experiences through the expanded awareness of the subconscious mind. So that's what you're doing in dream time. What I will say is, to an unawakened individual, third dimensionally thinking individual, and some don't even have dream recall and have blocks when it comes to working out the periphery. But there are many third dimensional individuals who, when they sleep, they are simply working out the periphery of the subconscious mind, the subconscious awareness. They're working out the periphery. When an individual goes into an awakening, an ascension, an enlightenment, then more starts to happen. It's all still the subconscious mind, but one could call it the superconscious as well. So the expansion isn't just third dimensional in its analysis. There is a fourth, fifth, and beyond perception and awareness and perspective that comes into that analysis of that periphery. So dreamtime experiences change when you become aware, which is the point here. With awakening comes the landscapes beyond that which you know as Earth. So that's the same thing. When you're working out the periphery and you're a third dimensional thinking individual, your dreamtime landscapes will predominantly be Earth-like. Not always. You could have watched a sci-fi film and you might go to sleep and dream that you're on that sci-fi planet. I mean, all of that's part of the periphery. So it's not always literally Earth-like, but the majority of the time you'll be working out the periphery of the subconscious awareness that took place within the waking state. You will be working that out within an Earth type terrain. once you move into that awakening and ascension and awareness and enlightenment, and so you are working out the periphery of the subconscious using the perspectives of multidimensionality rather than just third dimensionality, the sort of terrain that you experience changes, because in dream time the landscape is your inner terrain, it's you, and in reality the landscape is you. We are always at one with our environment, but in the third dimension we feel separate from our environment. So like I'm, you know, me, Magenta, a human being, and what can I grab? Well, this glove here is separate. I'm wearing it, but it's a separate entity to me. It's not part of me. But in the true reality, it is. Everything is part of your true body, for we are all simply energetic beings. We are all energy, so we are part of everything. So that kind of is more known within the higher dimensions, and it's more experienced within the higher dimensions. So when you go into dream time, you are more aware that the landscape around you, the perceived externalized environment around you, you are more aware that it is you, and it's an extension of your body, your emotions. You are one with it. That's the whole unity. So the landscapes start to show beyond that which you know as Earth. That's because the inner terrain is presenting itself as a match to your consciousness, and your consciousness is now multidimensional with your awakening. So you're seeing perspectives beyond the third dimension. You're seeing fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on perspectives, and that's the way you think. Therefore, the terrain within your dream time will mirror the inner terrain. So you are becoming extraterrestrial yourself. You are no longer terrestrial, because your consciousness does not think only from a third dimensional point of view. You do not see only from a third dimensional perspective. You see from fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. So therefore, the inner terrain, which is the DNA structure, the manifestation to that is the environment that you perceive. That's how you learn about the inner terrain. And that will change in structure to match what you are and your consciousness, which is, from this metaphor the nine are using, extraterrestrial, because it's outside of the terrestrial. It is beyond Earth, as in beyond the third dimension. It is most important to keep your 2 feet upon the ground, if you will. So no matter how much you are moving beyond the terrestrial, beyond the third dimension, beyond Earth, it's most important to keep your 2 feet on the ground. You don't want to lose the terrestrial. You don't want to lose the Earth. You don't want to lose the third dimension. You are then lost. Like a ship at sea without an anchor, one keeps one's feet on the ground and knows that they are terrestrial and from Earth and third dimensional, so that they can experience these multidimensional realities of the inner terrain and the dreamtime environment without losing themselves and going into fear and a complete confusion and unknowing. When you keep your 2 feet on the ground, you are then in control, if you like, without using control in its negative sense. You are the architect, you are the creator. It is most important to keep your 2 feet upon the ground, if you will, and it is most positive for your growth to remain within the dreamtime landscapes of your Earth reality. So it's very positive for you and for your growth and for your expansion of your spirituality, your ascension, your enlightenment, to remain within the dreamtime landscapes of the Earth reality. So if you're dreaming you just went down to, you know, the local supermarket and you're in Earth, and you wake up and think, oh, why didn't I have an extraterrestrial dream? I was just, you know, down Tesco or whatever. That's a good thing. It's okay. It's good. It's positive for you to be anchored to the Earth. It's good. Your planet Earth transitioning and blooming into Gaia is your life's blood, as it were. So this, well, not necessarily Tesco's, but the Earth, the terrain, the environment, the sea, the ocean, the cliff tops, the sand, the rocks beneath your feet, the hills, the mountains, the sky, the trees, the plants. That's what I'm talking about. Is your life's blood, as it were. And her heartbeat, the Earth's heartbeat, that which you may know as the Schumann resonance, is the nurturing comfort of the mother's arms to her babe. So what the nine is saying here is the Schumann resonance is like a heartbeat for this earth, and it nurtures us. It is somehow energetically aligned with us, with our bodies. We beat together with it. This is a whole other issue, as in, because the Schumann resonance is getting more and more higher, if you like, in its frequency, we need to go higher in our frequency to beat along with that new heartbeat of the earth and become Gaia. Our cellular structure changes along with that new higher frequency of heartbeat. That's why things are more difficult for third dimensionally thinking individuals, because they haven't energetically come up to that higher frequency heartbeat. So that's the whole Schumann resonance. So it's the nurturing comfort of the mother's arms to her babe. So she's our Mother Earth, literally. Yet the cosmic will always call you, for it too is your home. Now this is most especially for starseeds. The cosmic will always call you, for it too is your home. So yes, the cosmic is also your home. It will call you. And I've spoken before about how connected we are to the stars, the cosmos, the galaxy, the solar system, and how many of us have had incarnations, if you will, upon different planetary systems. Within the cosmic, and shall we say the celestial, so celestial being specific to the celestial level, the level of the stars, which is metaphoric for a certain awareness, a certain memory stream within the ascension process, are a myriad of frequencies for you to explore. So within the cosmic, within the celestial, are a myriad of frequencies to explore. As the explorer, you step out there into the wider unknown of energy, matter and antimatter. So you are the explorer, and you step out there into the wider unknown of energy, matter and antimatter. This is the awakening. This is the individual who's going through an enlightenment process, an ascension process. They are the seeker. They are the explorer as part of that journey. When you go out there, and that's what is said here, yet in truth, as you step out there, you are stepping deeper and deeper within. So that's what you're actually doing. As you go out there into the cosmic, into the celestial, you are going out into the cosmos. On a third dimensional level, individuals look to the stars, they look to the cosmos, they look to the skies, and they want to go out there. It calls them just as much as Earth calls them, and they need to anchor to Earth's heartbeat. She is the mother. She gives us that which we know is Schumann resonance. It is the frequency which is our life's blood, yet we are called also by the stars. Within that calling, a third dimensional thinking individual will think, how can I get out there? Let's build a ship. Let's build a rocket and try to go out there. And that's what they do. That's fine. But when they do that, they are doing that within the boundaries of the third dimension, the physical matter universe. But there is another way to traverse the cosmos. You can look out and think, I want to go out there and explore the stars, explore the galaxy, the solar system, visit these stars, go to these other planetary systems. You go within, and when you go within, you take a different direction. You go multidimensionally. Therefore, when you explore the terrain within, you are exploring the cosmos in its third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. dimensional scale. You are not limited to the third dimension. So you're not getting in a spaceship, putting on a space suit and getting in a rocket. You go within and you see the multidimensional. It's still you being an explorer, but you are not limited to third dimensional time and space. And what you are actually doing is going into antimatter. So the nine have said here, you step into the wider unknown of energy, matter and antimatter, meaning matter and antimatter is the energy itself, matter being the form, and antimatter being that which is multidimensional and outside of what we know as form. So when you go within, you are utilizing the exploration of matter through your own physical cellular structure. You are viewing and communicating with your cellular structure. That's the matter. The antimatter will be the quantum, multidimensional aspects of the cellular structure. And how you view that in a third dimensional sense is through metaphor, picture, image, because metaphor, picture, and image create emotion and create frequency, which then is decoded, processed, and understood. And then that creates more expansion within the brain and within the DNA. So yet in truth, as you step out there, you are stepping deeper and deeper within. Extraterrestrial dreams, so within dream time, extraterrestrial dreams, the meeting of extraterrestrial beings, so literally meeting beings in your dream time. The transportation to other planetary systems beyond Earth, so literally finding yourself in a transportation phase, in some kind of ship, or going through some kind of portal travel, or however that travel may be. You may fly there, you may jump there, you may find that you're transported there in an instant, you don't remember how you got there, but basically you are going to a terrain that is more than Earth, outside of Earth, different to Earth, as in more extraterrestrial. The transportation to other planetary systems beyond Earth, and the living within the Earth-like dream time where the landscape begins to change. So you're actually in a dream time experience where the terrain is Earth, and you watch it change. So these are three different ways, and there are many, these are three different ways that the nine have kind of focused on as to how you can access or communicate with or connect with extraterrestrial energy within your dreams. So one, you meet beings that you are aware are not from Earth, and they may look completely different to a human form, or they may be very, very similar to a human form with a very slight difference, or they may simply be identical to humans, but you're just aware that they're not from Earth. So those are the meeting of extraterrestrial beings. Transportation to other planetary systems, as I said, rocket ship, UFO, portal system, flying, a hot air balloon, growing wings, you name it. Or there's where the landscape begins to change. So you're looking at a tree, a house, an Earth-like environment, and you look and the house crumbles, and in its place is a crystal palace. The tree changes into some kind of light tree, a crystalline tree. The rocks turn into crystals, or it could be terrain that you've never even experienced. It may not be rock or crystal structure. It could be something completely different, pure light. You could see animal life forms that are like nothing you've ever seen. It's so unique as to how the extraterrestrial terrain shows itself to you, because it's a manifestation of who you are, and we are each unique. We each have a unique configuration. If you look at a snowflake, each snowflake is different, and that's what we are. We each have a different crystallized form, similar but different. So your terrain will be unique. But these are three different ways that you can experience this extraterrestrial energy within dream time. is a recurrent dream experience for the collective consciousness that is aware and awakened humanity at this time. So the Earth-like dream time where the landscape begins to change, the transportations beyond Earth to other planetary systems, and the meeting of extraterrestrial beings is a recurrent dream experience for the collective consciousness that's aware and awakened humanity. So you are going through an ascension experience, an enlightenment experience, and an experience that's there for those people is this recurrent dream time experience. So if this has happened to you, which it probably has, then this is a sign, or this is part of the journey, part of the ascension, part of the awakening. If it hasn't happened to you, A, it may well have done and you don't remember. B, you may not have interpreted it when you woke up. When you actually rapidly decoded the landscape, you may have interpreted it all as Earth-like. Or it may be that it hasn't occurred for you yet in any conscious way, but it will. The point is, it's happening to everyone who's awakened, because the terrain within is different. The terrain is moving from carbon to crystalline. The cellular structure is changing in its configuration. That includes the brain, the DNA, and ultimately the physical body. So your Dreamtime experience will match that, because it is the periphery subconscious that is seeing that which the conscious awareness has not become aware of. And the subconscious is aware of the change. The subconscious is aware of the metaphors, aware of the fact that the outer reality, the externalized reality, is an externalized aspect of you. The subconscious mind is aware of all this. This has been the case for some time. So this has been happening for quite some time. This ramps up, if you will, and increases in frequency and intensity. So this is increasing in frequency. I mean, when this came through, I felt that what the 9 meant by this was the frequency that the amount of times this is occurring, rather than the frequency of the actual experience, as in it's not a frequency change from dense to light, but then the 9 said it was both of those things. So this ramps up and increases, as in it's going to happen more often, and yet the density of the experience is higher in frequency. It's lighter, faster, more intense. So it increases in intensity. So this would be that you wake up and think, wow, you know, what was that dream? Gosh, the memory is clearer, the emotions are stronger. Or it may be that the emotions are settling into like a sort of a peace, and you may wake up and think, I would have freaked out at that dream, or I would have been ecstatic at that dream, or I would have been crying at that dream, and there is a peace. So the intensity can work in both ways. Whilst the interpretation of this is that you are becoming a galactic society. So that's the interpretation. You're becoming galactic. You're becoming a galactic society. And that's why this is happening. Lifting the quarantine that's been placed around your planet Earth. So planet Earth has had a quarantine placed around it. That's a whole other subject, really, that could take forever to explain. But basically, Earth's been quarantined from connecting galactically for whatever reason, and from whatever event, or however you interpret that quarantine. We've been cut off from being a galactic society. Lifting the quarantine that's been placed around your planet Earth, and connecting with beings from other races, planets, and star systems. So whilst the interpretation of this is you're becoming a galactic society, lifting the quarantine that's been placed around your planet Earth, and connecting with beings from other races, planets, and star systems. So that's becoming the galactic society. That's what's happening. That's all part of becoming the galactic society. The lifting of the quarantine is part of that. You're no longer quarantined in one section of the solar system or cosmos. You're becoming part of the greater cosmos, the greater galactic. There are deeper interpretations to be had from these extraterrestrial dreamtime experiences. So although it's the fact that you're becoming a galactic society, They're deeper interpretations. I mean, I don't know what's deeper than being galactic, but that's what the nine are saying. There's more. There's yet more to uncover. So if we were to interpret this extraterrestrial experiences, energy and landscape in Dreamtime as, well, we're becoming galactic. We're ascending. Our DNA is changing. The nine are saying, and yet there's more. And yet there's more to uncover. So dig deeper, dig deeper. For within the aspect of unity, the extraterrestrial beings are as unified with you as your other selves on Earth are. So when you look from the perspective of unity, we are all one soul, we are all one being. As a collective consciousness on Earth, we are unified. What the nine is saying here is, we are just as unified with all the beings from other galaxies, solar systems, universes, planetary systems, dimensions, etc. We are just as unified with them as we are with individuals on Earth. It's a unity that is galactic, a galactic unity. However, before you can put unification with all into practice within your physical experience, so before you can put unification with all, which is unification galactically, into practice within your physical experience, so your physical existence. So putting that into practice is the knowing that you are one with all things, you are unified with everything. And you put that into practice in your everyday life by the decisions you make and the things you say and the emotions you feel, the way you deal with challenges, the way you do everything on Earth. Before you can put unification with all, galactic unity, into practice within your physical existence, one learns about the vastness of others that are other selves. So when you look at another individual, be it a family member, a friend, someone you know, or an extraterrestrial being, there is as much universal, unified, infinite vastness in them that there is in you. So we're learning about our own unified, infinite vastness, which is everything. All and everything is contained within us, but all and everything and the vastness of that is contained within each and every other individual as well. One integrates this vastness. So it's one thing to have the perspective and the knowing that I'm an infinite structure and everything that exists within all existences and all dimensions and all timelines is within me, but it's also within you. And it's also within every single individual structure everywhere. But how many infinities is that? How much vastness is that? Can you even comprehend of the infinite infinities that are just everywhere? And that everything and all and everything is inside each and every one of those individuals. So you integrate this, and it doesn't mean you have to sit there and think, oh, crumbs, I have to understand about infinity, and I've got to learn about my infinity, and I've got to learn about the fact that there's infinity in someone else. You don't have to sit there and think and think and think and analyze. The integration is done. One does this through compartmentalization. So instead of taking this unified view, like I am all and everything, we do it by compartmentalizing these aspects and the embracing of that which is good, positive and nurturing within separation. Now that was the whole point of us incarnating into separation in the first place. We, as a logos, as a galactic being, as an original source, are compartmentalizing an aspect of ourselves by incarnating into a human form. We are taking all that infinite antimatter and all the potential creation within that infinite antimatter and all the multidimensional quantum aspect of it and bringing it all into a matter, third dimensional, linear experience within a physical body. So we go into complete separation and we compartmentalize the aspects of self in order to truly integrate the unity. That's from the perspective of original source, prime creator, all that is, etc. Because we are that unity, we are that all that is, we're doing the same thing with us. So if you imagine that original source is this great being that contains all and everything, and it's taken itself and pushed itself into, say, me, or pushed itself into you, you're now doing it. You're the great being. You are the original source. You are the great creator, and you are compartmentalizing yourself. So all that is good, positive, and nurturing within separation, and that is integration. That is being away from source in order to know source. That is losing memory in order to regain memory. That is going as far away as one possibly can in order to come back to even closer. Everything is parallel. Everything is a paradox. Everything is a spectrum, a swing from one to another. Everything is polarity, 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 polarity. And so in order to find unity, we experience polarity at its extreme. And then we bounce it back as we go through integration, and we no longer need the extreme polarity. That's what's happening collectively on Earth in the third dimension with this ascension process. That's what's happening. For so many of you who strive for unity, who understand and embrace unity, you have forgotten separation. So that was something, when the 9 said that to me, I was thinking, surely if you are able to understand and process unity, how can you have forgotten separation? Because in order to truly understand unity, you have to integrate separation. What the 9 are saying to me is that there are individuals who are able to understand the intellectual concept that is unity. They are then able to take that intellectual concept and feel it. They are able to take on the energetic vibration of that intellectual concept and emotionally live within that intellectual concept. So they really do live within an energetic, unified place. Their perspective is unified. But in order, those that have done this, not all, but there are some that have done this, and in order to understand the intellectual concept of unity, they have rejected or forgotten separation. Because in order to understand unity, it's very difficult to embrace separation simultaneously. I did this myself when I woke up spiritually. Not everyone does. Not everyone goes this route, but it's very common. When I first woke up spiritually and I started to read about spiritual concepts, and then I started to channel and speak to the 9, and they were telling me about spiritual concepts, I understood the concept of unity very, very quickly. I did this through viewing others as myself. So I would look at someone's face, and I still do this now, and look at their eyes, and I would think to myself, I remember when I was that person. Or I may think, I don't remember being that person, but I know that I was that person in the past, or I'm yet to be that person in the future, or I'm that person in another reality. I understood that, and therefore I understood the concept of unity, and I understood that I was all and everything. In the understanding of that, I moved away from the separation, didn't want to be separate because I knew I was unified. I wasn't in paradoxical consciousness, known also as bilocational consciousness, where I was embracing 2 different concepts at once. I was jumping from one concept to another. So I was separate, then I remembered that I was unity. So I was then in unity. It's like separation was gone. And that is how it is. You do jump from separation to unity, and you don't embrace separation, and you do fully embrace unity. But there is also the path to integration, which is the analysis of that. So from that point of view, it's like stepping from separation, the perspective, into unity. So you're jumping from A to B, but then it's like you are going to C. And C is A and B together. So what you're doing here is 1, 2, 3. Your unity oneness, which is your separation, because that's where you started from in this reality. Then you jump to unity, which is 2. It's the second perspective that you embrace, and then you jump to 3, which is the Holy Trinity, the Holy Triad, and that is the completion of that oneness, 1, 2, 3. And that's what it means when we use the phrase 1 and 1 equals 3, not 1 and 1 equals 2. And 2019 is very much about the equation of 1 and 1 equals 3. 1 and 1 equals 3. Because you have 1, you have another. That means you have 2, and together they create the third. So it's not 1 plus 1, as in 1 plus 1, 1, 2 equals 2. It's 1 plus 1 that creates the third. That's 3. It's the Holy Trinity. So this is kind of all the same sort of thing. You're jumping from non-individualization, but separation. You jump to unity, leave separation behind. You then move into this third perspective, which is integration of unity and separation together. That is what gives you individualization. That is what creates the cohesive memories, which is the aim for every soul. That is integrated ascension. It's accelerated ascension. It's also known as Stargate ascension. So for so many of you who strive for unity, who understand and embrace unity, you have forgotten separation. In order to individualize, one must remain separate within unification. So that's everything I just explained. You understand the unity, you embrace the intellectual concept, you live the understanding of unity, but you remain separate within it. You don't lose yourself in the unity. And let me give you an example. I mean, the other day I wrote a status on social media. I can't remember. It said something like, yeah, that's it. Someone asked me the question, why is it that I can't be around individuals that are not woke for very long? I can't be around them for very long. I have to get away and, be with like-minded individuals who are also woke, or I have to be on my own. I can't be around the unwoke, the normies, this person referred to them as, also known as muggles or, third dimensional individuals. And I explained this is a normal part of awakening, because the fields are getting so sensitive. You pick up the vibrations of the third dimensional individuals, normies, and it can be quite disconcerting and uncomfortable and energetically painful, etc., etc. So I answered this person, and then I posted that on social media. And somebody replied to me, "Don't forget, we are all one. We are all unified. There is no separation and there are no normies." That's true. Absolutely true. But what that person had done is jump from the separation instantly into the unity. But I'm speaking to someone who has just moved into what is now being called woke. So this individual is awakening beyond the third dimension, realizing that this reality is not what she or he thought it was, is reevaluating a whole new paradigm, a whole new truth. And within that is extreme sensitivity, because new synapses are waking up in the brain, the cellular structure is changing, the energy body is being discovered for the first time. So you're around these non-awakened individuals, and they are very much locked in trauma and certain behaviors, and it can be very, very difficult for that person to be around those people for very long. They have to retreat because they are nurturing a new bubble. They're newborn in that place. They're new and young, and they need space to grow and find the boundaries and find that bubble. And I was talking about building a wall around yourself. You build a wall around yourself. The externalized presentation to that is the fact that we are becoming sovereign. This is the year of sovereignty. We are building walls, as in Britain wants to have its boundaries in order to be independent and sovereign. That's the Brexit. Trump wants to build a wall to close boundaries around America. That's all third dimensional matching manifestations of what's going on within us. Many individuals are building these walls. Other people were commenting and saying, oh, well, it's really bad to build walls because they're very restrictive and we need to break the walls down. Yes, that's also true. We do. But there are stages to this. Not for everyone. Some people can go into unity and embrace all of these different compartmentalized aspects with the click of their fingers. They don't compartmentalize anything. They understand unity in one moment. They go straight to 0 point. But when that individual does that, often when they're advising others, they advise others from the point of view of pure unity 0 point. And someone who is compartmentalizing and creating the bubble, the walls, in order to move into true separation, in order to find unity, they won't understand the perspective of 0 point because they're doing it in a compartmentalized sense. Now, the truth is, we all do this. We all go through the compartmentalization. It's just that those who jump from non-awakened immediately to unity have done what is known in the spiritual communities as a walk-in. It's an instantaneous change from one soul to another, as in, it's still the same soul, but you've gone from third dimensional physical soul to multidimensional light being soul instantaneously. You've jumped from third dimension to complete unification and 0 point. That is more rare. It is not the usual way it's done, but it can be done like that. Those people can give you the most wonderful spiritual advice from that point of view, and that's great for people who are waking up and have gone further into unification and understanding, because they can learn to embrace that perspective from those individuals that have done that, and then they can take on the configuration that they need within their own DNA to match the configuration of that individual person. So the light is passed to them, and I can do that. I do that myself, and I'm able to pass that light to others. So if I'm speaking to somebody who I know is on a path that is already fully embracing unity, it's very easy to catch on to that individual's structure, move out of the physical body, become into a place that is non-locational, and make a connection with that person. I can do that right now while I'm talking to you, who's exactly the same. And that is the unification, and I'm able to communicate within that unification. That is the nine and magenta merge, and you're able to do that as well because you're in the same place. But there are others, those who perhaps are calling themselves woke, who are just stepping into that. And it's a unity as well, but the unity is perceived differently because they're learning about the separation. They are learning that they're different from the others. They're learning that they have a different way of being next to those who aren't awakened. So it's perfectly normal for them to go through this experience. So this reply was, don't forget, we are unified, as if to say, Magenta, you've kind of forgotten that we are unity. And it's both. And this is what the 9 are saying here. In order to individualize, one must remain separate within unification. If you want to individualize, you need to compartmentalize. Now, you can do it instantaneously, but you've still done it. You might not even remember the compartmentalized journey you went through because you did it instantaneously from the perspective of the 0 point. But there are others who do this from the perspective of linear reality. So they will remember and know the compartmentalization. And even if you have jumped straight to 0 point, the third dimensional brain needs to catch up with where your energy fields are. So you're existing within 0 point, or the 5th dimension, the new earth, Gaia, whatever you want to call it, but you come back into the past in order for the third dimensional human brain to catch up with where you are. So you remember how you got to unity, you remember how you got to 0 point. You do that through compartmentalization of what is separate in order to individualize. So in order to individualize, one must remain separate within unification, or should we more accurately say, one must remain separate and unified with all simultaneously. So that really is the answer to that one. One remains separate and unified at the same time, which of course is 0 point. It is the overlapping layers of these multidimensional experiences. We're third dimensional and multidimensional. We are of the new earth and of the third dimensional old earth. We are superimposing ourselves into both of these different realities. We are carbon and crystalline at the same time. That's where we are, and we need to do that. We can't just jump from carbon to crystalline. Where does the carbon go? This is a physical transformation. Everything has to integrate itself. The carbon changes to crystalline. We live in a linear reality. So within the cellular structure, even though it's non-linear and it's antimatter, which is out of time, that's occurring within us, the plasma light antimatter, it's still occurring within a physical body of matter. So it has to be an integration of both. So that's an analysis of the first part of that channeling that was uploaded in the early hours of New Year's Day. It was early hours of New Year's Day here in the UK, but I think in America we managed to get that uploaded, and it was still New Year's Eve, I believe. And the title is, and as you can see, I wrote the whole thing down in pen because I woke up first thing after this dream, this extraterrestrial landscape dream myself. So in the analysis of the dream, I'm asking the 9, and then of course this information was coming, so I just grabbed my notebook and started to write down what they were saying. Reclaiming the Ark through extraterrestrial dream time in 2019, the year of sovereignty. So that is the first part of that given in an analysis. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you again. Lots of love, take care, have a lovely day, love and light, and namaste, and all those things. Bye. In this channeled transmission, I enter into an expansive, transformative, and activating exploration of interdimensional dialogue, discussing the mechanics of Stargate ascension. This cutting-edge information holds key codes, maps, and coordinates for the starseeds on Earth, as they go through this process of DNA reconstruction and regrouping of cosmic memory themselves. The significant codex of information is downloaded to the reader, as they, through this sacred text, are called by the Dragon, Excalibur, Crystalline Light Geometry, Atlantis, and the Emerald Flame. I am so very pleased to present my new book, The Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame.